Have you ever told yourself, tonight will be different? You'll stop scrolling, you'll start working, you'll finally break that habit you keep repeating. But somehow, you end up doing the exact same thing again. And the strange part is, you know it's not helping you. So why does your brain keep choosing the same habits, even when you want to stop? This is why you're locked into bad habits. The truth is, your brain is responsible for every decision you make. But when it comes to habits, it often makes those decisions without you even noticing. That's why you can open your phone, start scrolling, and suddenly realize 30 minutes have disappeared. So the real question isn't just why habits form, it's why your brain keeps repeating them. Your brain is constantly trying to make life easier. Every decision you make uses mental energy. What should you eat? What should you do next? How should you respond to something? If your brain had to consciously think about every small action, you'd be exhausted within hours. So instead, the brain looks for ways to automate behavior. So when you repeat something enough times, your brain begins storing that behavior in a more efficient system. And instead of thinking, it simply runs the behavior automatically. That's what a habit really is. Not a decision, but a shortcut. But here's where habits become difficult to change. Many of the habits people struggle with the most provide instant rewards. When you scroll through social media, your brain releases small bursts of dopamine, a chemical connected to motivation, pleasure, and learning. Every new post, every notification, every short video creates a tiny reward, and your brain quickly begins to associate that behavior with something positive. The same thing happens with other habits. Junk food delivers immediate pleasure. Procrastination removes stress in the moment. Even something as simple as checking your phone can give your brain a quick sense of stimulation. Your brain remembers these rewards, and the faster the reward arrives, the stronger the behavior becomes. This is why many unhealthy habits feel so powerful. They give your brain something it naturally craves: immediate gratification. But many good habits work differently. Exercise, learning, building discipline, their rewards often appear much later. And because the brain prefers rewards that happen right away, it often pushes you toward the easier option. And over time, these behaviors stop feeling like choices, because every time you repeat a habit, your brain strengthens the neural connections behind it. Neuroscientists often describe this process with a simple idea: neurons that fire together, wire together. In other words, the more often a behavior happens, the easier it becomes for the brain to trigger it again. Think of it like walking through a field. The first time you walk across it, the grass barely moves. But if you walk the same route every day, a clear path begins to form. Eventually, that path becomes the easiest way to travel. Habits work the same way. Each repetition strengthens the pathway inside your brain, until eventually, the behavior requires almost no effort at all. That's why people sometimes open their phone or reach for a snack without even realizing they made a decision. The brain simply follows the pathway it already knows, and the stronger that pathway becomes, the more automatic the behavior feels. But there's one final reason habits can feel so difficult to change. When you try to replace a behavior, your brain is forced to use more energy again. The old habit already has a strong neural pathway. It's familiar, effortless. The new behavior, on the other hand, still feels unfamiliar. Your brain has to think about it, and thinking always requires more effort. That's why new habits often feel uncomfortable in the beginning. But with enough repetition, what once felt difficult can eventually become automatic. So, the next time you find yourself repeating a habit, it's worth remembering something. Your brain isn't trying to hold you back. It's simply following the behaviors it has learned over time. Every repetition makes that behavior easier to trigger again, easier to repeat, and easier to fall back into. But the same brain that learned those habits is capable of learning new ones too. Because when you start to understand why your behavior happens, you begin to realize something important. Your habits aren't fixed, they're learned. And anything that can be learned can also be changed.